So today I have the pleasure of welcoming 5 speakers. So Albena Tavena, who is a policy analyst at the European Commission in the direction in charge of internal market, industry entrepreneurship, and SMEs, so also known as DG Grow. We have with us Shamnan Akhter, social impact manager at Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth. Joining us, we have also Raluca Andreika, Director General at Patria Credit. Charlotte Sundecker, founder of Ragna and one of the winners of the Strive EU Innovation Fund. And finally, Tilman Tromke, co-founder and CEO of Tilt, who is also a winner of the Strive EU Innovation Fund. So before diving in, we wanted to give you a bit of a background on this webinar. So this session is basically taking place as part of the Mastercard Strive EU program, which is led by the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth with the support of Carib. And before going any further, I will first give the floor to Shaman, who will develop a bit further on the program and explain to us what is it about.
Amazing.
Shaman,
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Marie. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Shabnam Akhter. I manage social impact programs at the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth. For those that don't know, the center is the philanthropic arm of Mastercard, and essentially we exist to leverage the company's assets to tackle global challenges and drive transformation at scale, all with the goal of really ensuring that the sustainable and equitable benefits of a growing economy extend to everyone, everywhere. I'm really excited to be part of the conversation today and grateful to our partners at the European Microfinance Network for bringing this audience together to discuss a really significant challenge that small businesses in Europe are facing today. Small businesses, they're a core segment that we work with at the center. We really, despite the small label, their importance to local economies really can't be overstated. And that's why back in 2021, we launched a program called Mastercard Strive to help support this segment power inclusive growth across economies. So to tell you a little bit more about what Mastercard Strive is, essentially it's a portfolio of philanthropic programs which was launched with the aim of supporting more than 10 million small businesses unlock access to capital, to markets and digital solutions, as well as helping to build their digital capacity through training and mentoring. We launched the first program back in the UK, and then since then, the program has grown to over 25 markets globally. And what we realized was that there was a very strong appetite coming out of Europe to strengthen the entrepreneurial ecosystem and to really help small businesses navigate the transition to a more digital and sustainable economy. And that's why we launched Mastercard Strive EU in 2023 with the aim of amplifying innovations that are designed and that are helping essentially design solutions with small businesses in mind. You'll hear from me a little bit later in this webinar where I'll be sharing some more about the Strive EU program, as well as some of the learnings that we're seeing. But for now, thank you again for being here. I'm really excited for the hour that's ahead of us. And with that, I'll pass back to Marie.
Thank you, Salman. 10 million businesses and 25 markets globally. That's quite impressive. Okay, so thanks. So as part of this project, EMN, with the support of Mastercard and Caribou, we published a focus paper a few weeks ago, where we are trying to understand the expectation and capabilities of macro and small enterprises in their journey incorporating sustainable practices. Secondly, we're trying to identify the barriers that they are facing in their journey toward a more sustainable model. And third, we are trying to offer a few theoretical and practical solutions which could maybe ensure a sustainable transition that would foster the prosperity of macro and small enterprises in Europe. I think Marie-Clémence will put the link to the report, but briefly, this paper was when the European Commission was publishing the Omnibus 1 package. And so we published a few days ago, as I mentioned. So basically, through our research and interview, our research and discussions with EU and national level stakeholders, we realized that when it comes to their environmental transition, businesses face the same obstacle that they were already facing, which include basically complex bureaucratic procedures, high administrative burden, but also the lack of information and of support services, and also difficulties to access funding. And this finding, you can find them back in the report published in April 2024 from Enrico Letta, so the Letta report as we know it, which emphasizes the need for simplification of procedures, more tailored guidance for small businesses, but also an easier access to finance for small businesses. And going a step further, he also emphasized in the report that we need to ensure the alignments between the new single market with the objectives set under the European Green Deal for fair and sustainable transition. And he also recommended that financial supports to be directed toward the transition of all economic actors in the EU. So yeah, small businesses, they constitute the main share of businesses type in Europe. And we understood from data from the European Commission, but also from the OECD, that small businesses represent approximately between 40 and 63% of the total emissions attributable to businesses in the EU, which means that all EU business, whatever the sector or the side, should get the support and guidance to shift their activities toward a more sustainable model, but also at a reasonable cost. And that's really important. Before hearing from practitioners from the ground, I will first turn to Albena, who will give us an overview of the initiative undertaken by the Commission to support small businesses, and that will set the scene for the rest of the webinar. Albena, if you want to take the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Marie. Good morning, everyone. My name is Albena Taneva. I work in DG Grow of the European Commission. That's in short the DG in charge of the single market. And I'm part of the access to finance unit of the DG, which is dealing mostly with repayable forms of support and also following the ESG sustainable finance green transition for SMEs file. So if I can have next slide, please. The next one, yes, exactly. This is what Marie also mentioned, that in the EU, there is no green transition without SMEs and also micro enterprises being a very large portion of SMEs. Why? Because they constitute nearly 100% of the enterprises in the EU. They provide for over 64% of the jobs in the EU, and also over 50% of the value-added creation. They are also a very important source of innovation, of new ideas, of startup that later on develop into larger, valuable companies. And we have calculated that they are also important for the environmental footprint that we are living with over 60% of the industrial pollution potentially coming from SMEs. Can I have the next slide? So we have run a survey, Eurobarometer survey with SMEs last year, focused on green markets and resource efficiencies. And on the slide, you can see some of the most important and interesting takeaways. First of all, on the left side, you can see what are the actions which small companies are generally undertaking in the green and sustainability area. They are undertaking measures to save energy. That's the largest portion, 66%. Also to minimize waste of their production, to use more circular economy and saving materials, measures to save water, for recycling, switching to green suppliers of materials. So you can see on the left side, indeed, the whole plethora of activities that typically small companies are involved in. What is more interesting, though, is what are the main obstacles they are facing in this process. So they have been complaining from the complexity of administrative and legal procedures, and that could stem from legislation at EU level, that can stem also from national requirements. Then the cost of environmental action was raised as the second most important challenge and barrier for small companies undertaking green investments. Complex environmental reporting requirements, also linked to the first point, are being also pointed out. Difficulties to adapting to environmental legislation were indicated as 25% of the from the respondents. And last but not least, there is also difficulties for access to appropriate financing. We will have a session later on where I would explain to you the financial product that we have been developing in the Commission together with the European Investment Fund, specifically to address these challenges of small companies. Next slide, please. So what is also important to mention to set the background correctly is that more than 80% of EU SMEs and even more though for micro enterprises, they rely on external bank finance to finance their activities. So if we want to talk about the green transition of SMEs and micro companies in particular, we really need to look at the financial products which are being offered on the market from the banking sector. We are fully aware that access to sustainable finance, though, needs to be manageable for small companies. So that means that the reporting requirements and the eligibility conditions for the finance should be adapted to the needs of small companies, and they should not create an excessive administrative burden. And also, they have been as mentioned by the Letta report and the Draghi report, green financial tools, which are de-risking investments of companies, are very important for this process. And on my last slide for now, which is there are two strategies which have been our guiding toolbox for developing products for SMEs. Is the SME strategy, which the Commission published in March 2020, which is clearly pointing out that the twin transition of SMEs to digitalization and sustainability is key for the European competitiveness. And also the more recent SME relief package, which is pointing to the Commission commitment that this twin transition should also happen with the least administrative burden, and we should have a simple and standardized ESG framework for SMEs. And also we should also encourage financial institutions across Europe to consider this type of financing in their lending portfolios. So this is what I wanted to share with you at this point in time. Thank you very much, Marie, for the floor and for the invitation.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Elvina. It was really interesting to hear the key barrier that you already mentioned. So I noted complexity of legal procedures, cost of environmental actions, complex reporting, difficulties to adapt to legislation, and difficulties to access financing. So now that we have this in mind, we will turn, and also we have a good picture of also of the initiative led at the EU level. So now we will turn to the other speakers who will share with us their perspective on the challenges faced by small businesses as well. So really what they are experiencing on the ground and what solution they have been implementing or developing to reply to these challenges. So I will first turn to Raluca from Patria Credit, a microfinance institution based in Romania, providing microfinance. Raluca, at Patria Credit, you are working with micro and small agricultural producers who are exposed firsthand to climate and market risk. Could you present your activities at Patria Credit and how you deal with these challenges?
Yes, thank you, Marie. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, perfect.
Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to share our perspective, but also experience in supporting micro entrepreneurs through green transition. Indeed, we are a microfinance institution, one of the oldest in Romania, specialized in finance micro businesses, especially micro farms. We are here in Romania serving one of the biggest markets in Europe in terms of number of farmers. We have almost the biggest number of farmers in Europe, 1 million. So we are serving the market for starting 96, so for a very, very long time. And we at Patria Credit, we've worked closely with micro and small agricultural producers in Romania, especially in rural and underserved communities. These are the entrepreneurs who form the backbone of our food system and the ones most exposed to climate and market risk, yet often left behind in policy and investment discussions. I will briefly share what we see on the ground and how we respond in the latest year, while on the screen you will see some of the data regarding our profile, customer profile, portfolios, type of businesses we are doing. So key challenges facing micro entrepreneurs in financing in Romania's green transition. Climate shocks, number one. Drought is by far the most pressing issue. In southern and eastern Romania, we've seen increasingly long and severe droughts devastate key crops like corn or sunflower. In some cases, yields dropped by 30 to 50% with direct consequences on income and loan repayment capacity. Two, structural vulnerabilities. Most of our clients operate in small or micro or nano farms with limited irrigation access and depleted soils. Rising input costs, seeds, fertilizer, fuel, further reduce profitability, especially in volatile and fragmented markets. Three, knowledge and trust barrier. Even where technologies exist, small producers often lack access to localized practical advice. Public advisory systems are underfunded and private alternatives don't always reach remote areas, at least in Romania. The result, low investment in resilience and a growing financing gap. Not because there is no demand, but because the risk, climate, market, institutional are too high for micro entrepreneurs to bear alone. Our response is combining finance, knowledge, and partnership. At Patria Credit, we see our role not just as a lender, but as a long-term partner for resilience. Resilience is our history, it's our strategy. Resilience is also needed from the part of our clients. Here is what we offer in that moment: financial solution, seasonal agricultural loans with flexible repayment and grace periods for drought-affected clients. This means that we adjust permanently our products to the actual product cycle affected or changed by climatic changes. Investment loan in irrigation, greenhouses, solar pumps, and small-scale equipment. Input financing through partnerships with agri-suppliers, farmers get seeds and fertilizer early and repay after harvest. We are also piloting weather-indexed insurance to provide risk protection, an emerging but much-needed tool. Non-financial support, one of the most important, together with our parent bank at the level of the group. We are in the 4th year of Patria Academy. Our in-house training program offers financial education, business planning, and climate resilience know-how. It's now, as I said, in the 4th year. Access to agronomic advice thanks to cooperation with NGOs and experts. Topic includes drought tolerance crops, soil conservation, water efficient irrigation. Support for cooperative models, association to reduce cost, increase market access, and build collective resilience. And not in the last row, digital pilots, cooperation with agri-tech companies, for instance, for satellite crop monitoring or greenhouse monitoring satellite. No, satellite, it's another word, but I forgot. These efforts are part of a broader ecosystem approach to build long-term resilience, one that connects capital, knowledge, technology, and markets. What's holding micro-entrepreneurs back in our perspective, back for transition for green economy, at least in Romania, but we saw it also in other Eastern European country and also Western European country. In our view, there are two main causes: high cost with no risk sharing mechanism. And the second is gaps in advice and trust. The first one, the high cost with no risk sharing mechanism, even when farmers know what they need, for instance, irrigation, drip irrigation, they often can't afford the upfront cost. Public co-investment, guarantees, insurance are essential here. Gaps in advice and trust. Many don't know how to apply climate smart practices or don't trust new products due to the past negative experience. The way forward, what we think, what we try to implement is ecosystem partnerships for green inclusion. To overcome these gaps, we think we need integrated finance plus input plus market models, not fragmented services. We need local trusted advisory system, both digital and in person. Stronger policy frameworks and fund infrastructure, irrigation, de-risk private capital, and most important, cooperation across sectors, MFE, governments, NGOs, agri-tech donors. At Patria Credit, we are committed to playing our part, but we think that real transformation only happens when we act together. That's it.
Thank you, Ralika. It was interesting to hear this side of the market, because here we talk about micro entrepreneurs who are in need of actually turning their model because they are facing climate and market risk. So that's really interesting when you put them in parallel with other micro entrepreneurs who would like for their business model to transition as well. And also we are talking about really vulnerable group who don't have access to traditional bank services, and for whom the microfinance is a chance for them to start or to scale up their businesses. We hear as well from you the difficulties to access to funding. I was really interested by this digital pilot program to monitor crops. It's really interesting to see how digitalization comes with in action with the farming activities. So yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. We will get back to also to recommendation later in the webinar.
Thank you.
So now I will turn again to Shaman, who will give us a bit more information about the Mastercard Strive EU program, because I understand that you gain a lot of knowledge and knowledge on the challenges that small businesses are facing. So could you share with us your perspective and how the Strive EU program is addressing them?
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Marie. So as I mentioned earlier, Strive EU was launched in 2023 really to support small businesses navigate that transition to a more digital and sustainable economy. And we've already heard a little bit from our speakers how, in terms of the sort of growing pressure that small businesses are under, whether it's from evolving regulations or increasing digitization and just climate action in general. But I think what's so important to recognize is that the challenges that are faced by small businesses are not the same ones that are faced by larger firms, right? Small businesses operate with limited staff, with tighter margins, and for many of them, including micro entrepreneurs, it's very difficult for them to look beyond their day-to-day operations. And so that means regulatory complexity can be really overwhelming, especially when those compliance frameworks are designed with larger enterprises in mind. And often it's not an issue of intention. Many small businesses are eager to act on sustainability. They just don't know where to start or how to afford it. And I think those realities are creating a gap between the ambitions of small businesses and their actual capacity to take on meaningful action. And that's why Strive EU was created, to help fill that gap. And so essentially what Strive EU does is we launched an innovation fund to support B2B innovations that are designed specifically to meet the needs of small businesses across 4 different key areas. So that's helping small businesses and micro entrepreneurs harness AI to save time and money. That's bolstering their cybersecurity. It's unlocking credit through embedded finance solutions. And most importantly, for the context of this discussion, it's simplifying their ESG and regulatory compliance and helping them meet some of those increasingly the increasing demands that they're facing. I think what we're seeing is that the good news is that there is innovation, and innovation is rising to meet these challenges. We're seeing some really exciting technology trends that is making ESG action more accessible and more effective for small businesses. So that includes things like the use of AI and predictive analytics to create ESG dashboards. We're seeing the increasing rise of smart monitoring, so that's helping small businesses to reduce waste and emissions through real-time and low-cost automation. And we're also seeing, as we've discussed, ESG compliance tools. So that's tools that are helping small businesses streamline certification, streamline reporting, and regulatory alignment. I think the benefits of sort of what I'm discussing here goes far beyond compliance, in that engaging in sustainability is helping small businesses attract more customers, more suppliers, access capital, as well as improve efficiency, all of which are contributing to the long-term resilience and growth, to their long-term resilience and growth. That's exactly why we're so proud as part of the Strive EU program to be able to support these innovators. And we're really lucky today to be joined by 2 of those innovators, Ragnar and Tilt, who are 2 of our 10 Strive EU innovation winners, innovation fund winners. Both Ragnar and Tilt are developing AI-powered and user-centric ESG tools that are tailored for micro businesses. And their platforms are almost serving as a digital co-founder to help simplify reporting, enhance decision-making with real-time analytics. Beyond their sort of tool itself, the partnerships that they're forging with other organizations, financial institutions, are not just helping smaller micro businesses report on sustainability performance, but really it's helping them drive growth and sharpen their competitive edge. I won't tell you too much about their solutions because Charlotte and Tilman are here today, and I want to give them the space to be able to tell you about their solutions. But one other thing I wanted to acknowledge is that despite their innovations, what we're seeing as part of our program and the research that we've conducted is that small businesses are still facing barriers, right? The barriers are still there, particularly when you look at the sort of perceived complexity around the use of digital tools. And so uptake right now is not incredibly high. And that's why Strive EU is taking a test, learn, iterate approach. And by that, what we mean is we adapt and we ensure that the solutions that we're working on are not only innovative, but that they're usable and that they're accessible, and really they're meeting the small businesses where they are. And so that means they're aligned with their day-to-day realities. Some of the insights that we're gaining through the program is helping to strengthen the broader entrepreneurial ecosystem, not only by amplifying the small business voices, but really fostering that sense of shared learning. So as part of the Strive EU program, we developed what we call the Strive EU Small Business Council, which essentially brings together experts, including private sector leaders, public sector leaders, civil society leaders, to champion these solutions and offer really critical guidance to our grantees. The Council plays a vital role in keeping small business priorities at the center of the conversation, not only in terms of how our winners were selected, but also in terms of how they're nurtured and supported in the long term. And this kind of ecosystem building and journey is really essential to us, because not only does it allow us to surface real world insights, but also it allows us to continue to foster collaboration and accelerate the adoption of really promising models across the continent. It's also why we're working with the European Microfinance Network and also our implementing partner, Caribou, to support and strengthen this network. The final thing I'll say is that we've completed 1 year of the program, and we have 1 final year left. And in that final year remaining, we're continuing to we'll continue to focus on supporting our innovators, continuing to grow the ecosystem and support them through the council, through our annual convenings, through publications like the document published by EMN that is in the link right now. And continue to help connect and increase their visibility to thrive in this rapidly evolving economy. I guess one final thing I'll say is that if anybody's interested in learning a little bit more about the Strive EU program, please do feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to have a conversation and to share more.
Amazing, thank you, Shanman. I took some note of your talking points, and what I keep in mind is the growing pressure for small businesses to transition. But also the fact that their challenges are not the same one as the challenges that bigger entrepreneurs are facing. We find also a few common points with the element that Raluca mentioned earlier, the regulatory requirement, this eager to act but don't know how. So we have a gap between expectation and realities. It was really interesting to hear also about how innovation is really important here, and that's why we have today Charlotte and Tillman. And also, what I really kept in mind at the end of your speech is how we need to make sure that we are creating a broad entrepreneurial ecosystem, so everyone has to act together to actually ensure that small entrepreneurs can go through their transition without losing anything and prospering in their activities. So you mentioned Charlotte and Tillman, so I will now turn to the 2 Strive EU Innovation Fund winners. And I will start with Charlotte, who will present to us her solution right now. Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Marie, and thank you, Shabnam, for that generous introduction of our solution. So, hi everyone, my name is Charlotte Söderdocker, and I'm the CEO of Planathon, which is a sustainability advisor and partner to larger companies. And through our work with larger companies, we have experienced firsthand how the small businesses are struggling to meet the requirement of the larger companies in their value chains. So we decided to build Ragna as a solution to those challenges that we were witnessing. And thanks to the immense support of the Mastercard Strive EU program, we have been able to spend the past year to develop a technology and to do extensive research of market and user interviews. And this past year, with the support of Mastercard Strive, we have also been able to learn a lot more about the challenges beyond our own research, get so much support throughout the journey. So we are very grateful for being part of this program and happy that we were able to be so. So I will share a little bit about the challenges that we have identified and then go through very quickly the solution that we have with Ragna. So Ragna is, the name is Nordic mythology. It means guide, advice, and give decisions, or give advice and guide decisions. And that is what Ragna is supposed to do. So you can view Ragna as a new colleague, the head of sustainability at your small business, and she helps you save time, stay ahead, and act today. So let's go to next slide, please. Our mission is to make a world-class sustainability expertise available and affordable for SMEs through practical actions that create long-term value and real impact. So this is a statement from Karina Johid. She's the CTO, also the CEO, and my co-founder at Ragna. So, as already stated, the small businesses' engagement in industrial and regional development is obviously crucial. And also, for our own research, we can also verify that the EU, the national compliance demands are increasing, and it feels overwhelming for the small businesses. And sustainability expectations are also rising from customers and consumers, but the guidance is unclear and scattered for the small businesses on how to act. And many of them lack time and competence and means to afford external consultants. And the existing tools are usually too complex and shaped for larger companies and not for the convenience of the small businesses. So at the same time, and if you stay there, and that, so just elaborating a little bit on the challenge. So at the same time, the engagement and motivation is really there, and we see through our own research that there's a lot of action happening, but it's mainly reactive, and the action that is happening is around recycling, local sourcing, and energy efficiency, but it's not a part of a long-term and strategic development plan usually. So it's not embedded in their business models, but rather something that they try to keep up with short term. So second thing is that they also have high AI adaptation in our interviews, which is we found very interesting because they are already using tools like ChatGPT and for general guidance and advice. But when it comes to sustainability purposes, they feel like the existing tools, they lacked specific actionable guidance that they needed. And also regarding funding, there's a big lack in the access to funding and the awareness of the funding from the small businesses. So there's a huge matchmaking need when it comes to the existing funding and the funding needs. So let's go to the next one. So say hello to Ragna. So Ragna is your AI-based 24/7 sustainability advisor, and she's always up to date with the latest policy changes or best practice. And you upload your business documents, and it can be your energy bill, your water bill, or your sustainability plan, or your business plan, or whatever business documents that you feel relevant, that you want Ragna to analyze to give you as specific and tailored advice as possible for your business needs. So as you can see, she functions like a chat, but she sorts all your needs and focus behind the scenes. So let's change slide. So what you can do with Ragna, through your conversations, you can save your conversations, and then you set short and long-term sustainability targets. She helps you create focus areas with actionable to-do lists, and she helps you set the targets, but also follow the progress of your goals, and make it easy to share your progress and your status with customers and partners and funders. She also gives you practical recommendations that are easy to implement, and support you with finding the right and accessing the right funding. So hands-on recommendations and matchmaking. Finally, I noticed also in the previous speaker sharing that there's a big challenge in getting certified. So, for example, we have done extensive research within tourism, where there's a big competitive advantage if you have shown the eco labels, for example, for a hotel. The guest will pick you whether or not you have the right labels. And so Ragna will help you simplify the certification process and also streamline the documentation to increase your possibility of getting certified and stay certified. So next, please. So Ragna aims to support small businesses in their sustainability efforts on all these different use cases, but at the same time supporting partners' goals. So this can be regional targets or portfolio targets, and follow and track community and portfolio impact. So let's check how that can look like. So as a partner, of course, you can use Ragna also as the advisor, but here you can get guidance on your network's risks and opportunities, and set the short and long-term sustainability targets for your whole portfolio. And here you get everything streamlined and organized in the same place, and easier to report to. Usually you have also funders that you need to report your status to. So in this way, we can also support a bigger transition and a bigger ecosystem. So this is a quote from one of the interviews that we made. And finally, if you are a small business and would you like to become an early tester, please reach out to me. If you're a possible development or piloting partner for us, we are also looking for that. So please reach out, or if you have questions or ideas, would love to discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's amazing. It was really nice to hear that as part of the Strive EU program, you entered this kind of learning communities, and so you contributed but also learned from others. That's really nice to hear. I really took into note the fact that there is engagement from small businesses to actually go through their green transition, but usually there are, as you mentioned again, some barriers. So I also noted, yes, this idea of usually they are reacting to situation and they are not really in this kind of anticipating / long-term development plan. The use of AI really surprising for me that it's really taking off on this side. And also you mentioned the funding. So again, something that was also mentioned earlier by the other speakers. Could I ask with a small follow up with a small question? What are the next steps for you in the development of your solution?
Thank you so much for asking. And I also want to add that what is unique from, for example, using a ChatGPT for your advice as a business, it's that it's keeping all your data secure, and that Ragna can only respond from verified sources. So extensive sustainability science and the regulations and business frameworks is all part of Ragna. So our next step is development and piloting partners to validate and our use cases, and make sure that Ragna develops in a way that she can really support the small businesses across Europe.
Great. So again, this is this idea of building this ecosystem of different partners to support the transition of small businesses.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you.
I will now turn to Tilman, who will present us Tilt. Tilman, you have the floor.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thanks so much for giving me the opportunity here to share some of the insights we gathered over the last couple of months while we've been working on Tilt. And also super interesting to hear the insights from the other speakers today. I mean, lots of learnings and insights have already been shared. I try to keep it concise and focus on the learnings that are specific to us today. And then we'll also like to share a bit about our product with you. So if you could turn to the next slide. We've now heard already that small businesses and SMEs make up a large proportion of greenhouse gases in the European Union. We've also heard from various speakers now and sources that there's a lack of funding and know-how for SMEs to take climate action. We at Tilt are convinced that financial institutions can be a part of a solution to this. And this was basically the starting point of our journey with the Mastercard Strive program, which supported us big time in the past couple of months to further research on this challenge and refine our approach to solve it. So over the past couple of months, we conducted interviews with more than 50 small businesses. And I would like to share some of the key insights we gathered here. So these small businesses were mainly from Germany, but also from some other geographies and from a variety of different sectors. And what was very interesting for us to see, and this is also something, Shabnam, you mentioned, if I remember correctly, many small businesses actually want to take action. There's a high level of intrinsic motivation, at least under the small business we talk to. Even though the political backlash to sustainability reporting we see in the daily media. But so there's a high level of intrinsic motivation. And next to intrinsic motivation, we see as the key drivers to act on sustainability is really the evolving regulatory and market pressure. However, we also see that many of the small businesses we talk to are right now a bit lost with what actually sustainability means and what you can do as a small business to improve your sustainability profile. So there's a lot of know-how missing, and last but not least, they lack the financing for this. We not only talk to small businesses, we also worked with multiple financial institutions to test our product, which I will talk about a bit more in a minute. And what we also hear from financial institutions is they also have an evolving regulatory pressure, but to be able to support their small business clients in this process, they need better data, right? And so yeah, basically conclusion from this research process was that based on what we heard from small businesses and from financial institutions, there is a lack of tools that are first suitable for small businesses. Current solutions mainly target large businesses. Solutions that go beyond reporting and actually provide concrete and actionable information on how you can take action. And a solution that's also scalable so that it can be used by financial institutions as well with a reasonable amount of effort, basically. And yeah, so the partnership with Mastercard Strive has enabled us to translate these insights into a real and scalable product. So if you could move to the next slide, I'd like to share just very quickly some information about our product. So what Tilt is about is a data solution that offers an efficient and pragmatic approach to SME climate data. And the data are targeted for financial institutions that can use these data to assess, but also support the SME credit loan portfolio, but also to SMEs and small businesses directly, which can use these data to act with confidence on climate action. What our solution basically provides is, so our current prototype covers more than 2 million companies within the EU. We are expanding to additional regions and increasing coverage continuously. And our solution offers an approach to estimate in a very simplified way and effective way total emissions of the companies, to identify transition risks, to assess reduction potential and potential climate actions for the companies that not only reduce emissions, but also cut costs, because this was also one of the key learnings we heard, and other people now also mentioned, other speakers. It's not only about just reducing your environmental or carbon footprint, it's also about economic attractiveness of these measures. And how this approach works, it's AI driven. So we leverage AI to link company data to climate data. Otherwise, this level of scalability would not have been possible. And while yeah, and some of the maybe also two core principles we adhere to in this process, because we also realize this is very important, is the simplicity and efficiency. So we try to minimize the amount of data needed from SMEs, because we are aware of the data scarcity in this field and the amount of work that small business need to put into to get these data. And on the other hand, we also focus on transparency about our product approach, because that's what's something we heard from many financial institutions, that the currently existing provider often provide intransparent and black box models, which make it difficult to actually act on the data. So these are like simplicity and transparency are two core principles we adhere to. That's, yeah, I think it for now about our solution. So thanks a lot for giving me the chance to share this with you. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Tilman. I noted during your intervention again the lack of sustainability measure and the lack of know-how. So we find what Raluca, Charlotte, Tilman, but also Albena mentioned through their presentation. I was really interested about the tool that you have been developed with AI. It's amazing to see how we can use this tool for small entrepreneurs and put their opportunities to their service. I was just wondering, could you tell us a bit more about the next steps in your adventure?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So in the past couple of months, we've piloted our product with a couple of financial institutions and small businesses. We gathered insights into where the bottlenecks within our product are still. So we are right now revising improving a couple of elements of our product with special focus on this AI-driven matching process. And we are planning to launch our application-ready product in September this year. So it's called Baseline, and it covers the indicators I mentioned: total emissions transition risk reduction potential for large amount of companies. And as part of this, we are also looking to get to know potential collaborators in this field, potential people, organizations that are interested in this type of data that we can talk to, understand their challenges better, and explore whether Tilt can be a helpful solution for them. So if there's anyone here for whom what I just said sounds interesting, feel free to reach out, and we'd love to set up a meeting, talk a bit more about Tilt, show you a demo whatsoever, and also love to understand your challenges better.
Great, thank you very much. So just before we turn to the last part with Albena, who will present to us a few initiatives led by the European Commission to reply to this need of funding, which was raised by all the speakers today. I just wanted to just pause for a second and just summarize the main challenges that we have been going through today. So we mentioned the lack of skills, knowledge, and awareness. And actually, it's super interesting because in the European Commission survey from 2023, we learned that about 58% of small businesses mentioned the lack of skills and knowledge as the main reason for not engaging more in their environmental transition. So that replies exactly to what Tilman, you were saying a few minutes ago about the lack of know-how. Then also you mentioned the navigating the regulatory and reporting requirements, super important. As I mentioned, the European Commission through the Omnibus 1 package is addressing these challenges, but we need to understand further how this will implement. And then obviously the third obstacle is the access to financing, and that was also mentioned by Albena at the beginning with this 80% of small businesses relying on banking finance. That's exactly the case, and we are also wondering what about the ones who don't have access to banking services? What are they doing? That's where we have microfinance, but also we also see that the current offering of green loans in the market is insufficient and usually not well suited to the specific needs of small businesses. So I will stop there and I will turn again to Albena, who will give us more information on the mechanism set at the EU level to support the environmental transition of small businesses. Albena, if you want to take the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Marie. I will complement the whole picture that you presented very well up to now with the product we have developed under this MFF, under the InvestEU program, which is our flagship program of the Commission to support the green digital transition of the EU economy, improve its competitiveness and resilience. I will not spend a lot of time on this. It's basically a budgetary guarantee that we are providing to the financial institutions across Europe with the aim to attract other public and private investments and to leverage over 370 billion euros in the EU economy. It has several policy windows, one of which is dedicated to SMEs specifically. And we are working with the European Investment Fund in Luxembourg, which is by statute meant to support SMEs across Europe, and with a number of national promotional banks and commercial banks as well. So if you can move to the next slide. So one of the new products we developed with the EF under InvestEU is the so-called sustainability guarantee. It's de-risks financing of banks that are providing green loans to SMEs. And our last data from the European Investment Fund, when they reported on the implementation, actually showed that 85% of the final recipients we have supported so far are micro enterprises. What do we finance? We finance investments and working capital to companies that are either already branded as sustainable because they have a green label, eco label, price, intellectual property rights, or because more than 90% of their turnover is already in green activities. But we also help other companies to transition to greener practices, for example, around the 6 taxonomy objectives on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and also environment. We can support investments in energy efficiency savings, in renewable energy, in green mobility, in green ICT. For example, if you are a micro enterprise wishing to put a solar panel on your roof, or to buy machinery which is energy saving, or to go into circular economy business models where you substitute your primary materials with secondary materials, or you undertake some water saving measures, or what is very important, and we heard from the Romanian colleague earlier this morning on climate change adaptation. We can de-risk investments and support the banking sector to go into these areas, and also we help them with specific eligibility criteria to define what is green and what is sustainable. Also, we tackle biodiversity problems. We have a specific section on agriculture and forestry, because these are, especially in agriculture, a lot of activities where small companies are engaged in. Next slide, please. And we also have developed, with the help of the EIB group, a sustainability guarantee IT tool, which can be consulted free of charge of, first of all, commercial banks, NPBs, but also SMEs and micro companies in particular. And there you can see what are the criteria, and you can also put the parameters of your intended investments and see if they are falling within the scope of the product, and if you intend to apply to the banking sector for help for loans. The tool also provides you with a file in PDF format, which can be presented to the banks. Next slide, please. And finally, because in our engagement with the banks, we work on this product, but we have also a dedicated website for SMEs and for companies in general, which can be consulted to see which are the financial institutions in your country, in your region, which are working with this product and to which you can turn to in order to get support. Thank you. This is what I wanted to present.
Great. Thank you very much, Albena. It's good to hear that the EU is behind the small businesses in their green transition. I was just wondering, do you have any data on how many small businesses were supported through the InvestEU up to now?
I mean, the product is still developing and the banks are building their portfolios, but we are very happy to see that when the EF launched the call for applications from for the banking sector, they received applications that exceeded the available budget by the factor of 3. So it was extremely high interest. We have agreements with banks in all the 27 member states of the EU for this product. And if memory is not bad, we have more than 50,000 companies already supported. And this number is only about to grow because the first years of implementation were devoted to really concluding agreements with the banks, training their front officers about the criteria, developing IT tools for the product. But in the next year or 2 years, we expect an exponential growth of the product. And we have over 1 billion of lending agreements already signed.
Okay,
We
great.
need
So
to materialize in real projects, but this is starting to happen really in practice.
great, thank you very much. So we really see the eager from small businesses. We're running a bit late, so I will just jump to the opening discussion and Q&A. If the speakers would like to say a last few words on one of the 3 questions, or if you would like to just go ahead and tell us about some recommendation that you would have for the future, please. I will also at the same time open the floor for Q&A. So to the audience, if you would like to intervene, please raise your hand or write the question in the chat. I'm looking at the speakers. If one of you want to start, say a few closing words on your side. Otherwise, I can also start if you want. Don't be shy.
I'm happy to share some closing remarks here. So I think what I would want to see in the next years or until the end of the decade is more green financing products. And I think what was presented today gives a lot of hope that we will see an increase there, because ultimately the problems that we also discussed today, the lack of financing, the lack of know-how, this should be smaller by the end of the decade, so that we on the one hand reach our climate targets, and on the other hand also reduce the risk, I think, of societal divide if small businesses are not onboarded basically to the transition. I mean, we've seen in the previous years multiple times how, for example, farmers and other sectors can feel left out if they don't have the means to be part of the transition in an effective way. So that would be my hope and ideal scenario for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I support you on this. Yeah. Anyone from our speakers?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, Charlotte.
Thank you so much. So what I would like to see, hopefully sooner than the end of this decade, is that the successful green transition is also successful in shaping our business models to put circularity and regenerative models at the center and the core, so that we not only support micro and small businesses to be compliant, but to thrive in new business development that is sustainable truly at its core.
Yeah, exactly.
If I may also say, I mean, we heard you mentioned several times this morning regulatory burden, reporting obligations, and also the omnibus. There has been a clear commitment from the Commission not to overburden with too high administrative costs SMEs. We have the omnibus proposal on the table. It is meant to further simplify life for companies. SMEs are anyway outside of the scope of the taxonomy, but we know that they are facing a lot of reporting obligations from bigger companies and also from banks. So this is part of the Commission proposal. Let's see how it goes in the Council and Parliament, but that is a clear line to follow. But on the other hand, we have seen that there is no green transition without SMEs. So we, with the product I presented, for example, are working more on to stimulate, not to overburden with administrative requirements companies, but really to work with the banking sector throughout Europe to stimulate green and sustainable financing to small companies. So that would be an important element to be taken forward and to be used to the full of its potential. That would be good for European competitiveness as well.
Yeah, so we can really keep this idea of building this ecosystem between different stakeholders to support this transition. And that's what you mentioned at the beginning, Albena. It's like there is no green transition without small businesses in Europe. So we really have to pay attention to their needs and what works, what does not work for them. Maybe Raluca or Shannon, you want to say
a short one in the same line with what Charlotte or Tillman and Albena said. Because we are close to thousands of small farms and small micro here in Romania, and we transit together with them this green period, many changes, regulatory crisis, wars, and so on. I have to say that the question number 3, what are the key recommendations? I wish to see in the future that each company is treated specific, and each region for each region are acknowledge their specificity, because it's not the same thing to make the green transition near the Ukrainian war border, or I don't know, in Western Europe. So it's not the same to make a green transition as a small company or as a micro farm or as a bigger company with a lot of resources. So this reporting and regulation cannot be like the same for everyone. The local specificity and each company specificity should be acknowledged. And I would say this in any seminar, and you know, Mari, because I say the same thing. And I will say it's not the same thing, it's different. And we should take care of this because they are they are as a producer, and we should take care of them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We need to include this idea of diversity and different needs between different regions from the EU, on the reporting and regulation. Shaman, if you want to say a few last words on your side.
Of course, thank you, Marie. I think for me, I mean, the speakers have really reiterated and driven the point home. But I think one thing that really stands out for me is the importance and the need to continue investing in innovation funds and accelerators, not just as a matter of financing organizations that are supporting small businesses, but really as a strategic choice to help them foster scalable solutions and to build resilient ecosystems and to truly unlock that entrepreneurial potential that exists within Europe. And these tools are so important in offering the networks, the resources, and the technical guidance that is needed to experiment and adapt and to drive that shift towards a green economy. And so I think reiterating the importance of channeling capital and expertise into these different support structures and helping invest in a future that is greener in a way that's inclusive and competitive and sustainable.
Great. That's a great summary of the discussions of today. I'm just going to turn to Marie-Clémence. Do you have any questions? Okay, I'm just going to pause for a few seconds to see if we have any questions from the audience. I apologize, we are running a bit late, so maybe some of you already are going toward lunch. No, we don't have any questions? Okay. So we will share the slide for the people who registered. And I think we can close the webinar for today. I would like to thanks all the speakers who were with us today and took the time to explain their point of view and the solution. I would also like to thank Jeanne for her support in preparing this webinar, but also Caribou and Marie-Clémence, who was on my side today on the technology side and on the prep work. And with that, I will let everyone go to lunch, and I will wish you all a good day. Yeah, thank you very much.